Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing something, I guess, a little more fun, right? We're going to rank every single Wolverine appearance of Hugh Jackman, right? Hugh
Yeah,
Jackman, you know what's crazy? He has done 13 films of
that,
appearances.
that's a lot.
It is a lot, but there's a lot of not so good ones, and there's a lot that are truly amazing. So we're going to work our way backwards. We're going to start, I call it the tier.
Hmm.
That's pretty much the way it sits. So we have two of them at the tier. So the question is, which one is worse out of these two? X-Men Origins or Apocalypse Fire? I'm gonna trust you on this. So which one is even worse?
I feel like I feel like it has to be or
You see, I love
I
the
don't know.
because you did the same thing with tier. I was like, I was like, long pause, trying to like. Okay, with Apocalypse, he only appears for like a second, right?
Right.
So could we say, well, I mean, you get more Hugh Jackman in Origins, and we got Deadpool out of it. I guess the question is, which one's the worst film, Apocalypse or X-Men Origins? Wolverine.
Yes.
Yes. Oh man, that's rough. It's interesting because Apocalypse was the continuation, not continuation, but trying to rebuild everything after Days of Future Past. And X-Men
Yeah.
Origins, the special effects are brutal. That's pretty much where Deadpool pretty much got ruined. It almost killed off anything that Ryan Reynolds did. So which one is more of a travesty, essentially?
Hmm. I'd probably have to still go with Apocalypse just because I feel like it was just their way of trying to throw him in there for no apparent reason.
I guess it
So
makes
I'm gonna go
sense.
with that.
Yeah. At least, I mean, it can't go wrong. Hugh Jackman wasn't bad in the film. It's just everything around him was bad. Henry Cavill effect, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay,
Every
so
time.
now we got the ranking. Apocalypse is going to be our worst ever appearance of Wolverine, and then after
Yep.
that, we kind of blend these together. We know Apocalypse is bad because the appearance is really short. The film just is not, man. I think maybe it's just the problem of just trying to do too much, but also they didn't really stay true to the source material either, did they?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Apocalypse is awful, by the way, for the movie.
No, I
Like
watched it and I try to
yeah.
forget it. It feels like I literally, there are things I don't even remember because I almost feel like I choose to forget that film.
Well, I mean, if you're familiar with the comics, he's like this just insanely strong being, and then you get to the movie, and he's like a monologue on a stick.
I actually think in the comics he's one of the scariest and worst villains that the X-Men have to face. I mean, they even had the
Oh
video
yeah,
game X-Men Apocalypse that was really good. Did you play that? I played on GameCube back in the day.
I did not, but I know of it.
It's really good. Now, and going on to X-Men Origins, Wolverine, I think that's just there's too much in this film trying to do too many things. I think it should have had an R rating as well, probably.
Probably.
It also the effects when he was in the bathroom. Do you remember the claws that came out? That was probably the worst display of the claws from Wolverine that I've ever seen.
Yeah, it just didn't work.
You know what's crazy is I remember when I first saw it, I actually thought it was not a bad film, partly because I just wanted more Hugh Jackman in the
Yeah.
Wolverine movie. But as like years kept going, I realized I was just gaslighting myself into believing that it was a decent film. And my friends all told me it was bad, and I didn't. I was like, yeah, but we got more of him, right? Right?
Right.
Right? All right. Next up, we got in the C tier. Now we got some actual, real serious movies here. We have X-Men. I can't even say that with a straight face. Serious movies. X-Men Last Stand.
My God. It's
Oh
yeah.
man, that's crazy. This movie is it was also a movie I tried to gaslight myself about.
Yep.
I think the worst offender here is that the destruction of the Phoenix, the
Yeah.
eliminating of characters that don't make sense, the
Nope.
destruction of storylines. I just man, I they wrote themselves in the corner on this one. They merged as well, like the antidote for the saving the, I guess, the removing the X gene. It's
Yeah.
people, depending on where you look at it, would like they were saving them, they were not. I don't know. That was a what do you feel about this film? And then Hugh Jackman in it. He
So
he killed Phoenix, just to add that to you, and I'll pass it to you.
yeah, he really killed that movie. So I don't know. I felt like the entire movie was like they wanted Wolverine to have a love story, and like the ultimate arching thing was like no one can love Wolverine because he'll just kill them. And instead, all they did was literally. I feel like somewhere in the writing room, like halfway through it, they're like, "This is gonna be the last one we're gonna make of these because there's no way that we can come back for this." They're like, "Okay, kill off everything that we can," and then they did.
That's
like,
actually wild.
Yeah, it was like whoever wrote this movie was mad at the X-Men.
They were definitely angry. It was the last stand, and it was the last film. Oh man, I said C tier serious movie, and I just couldn't keep a straight face. All right, next up is the B tier list. This one's actually kind of like the A tier, but it's like in the middle. Like they're not the worst thing, but they're not the best. X-Men First Class and Wolverine. This one's a little tricky because X-Men First Class was a cameo, kind of showcasing the mean Wolverine, but also the Wolverine isn't bad because it technically sets up Days of Future Past and the end credits. So I'm going to pass this off to you of which one we're going to talk about first. Which one is worse, the Wolverine or X-Men First Class?
I'm going to go with the Wolverine because I don't think that we needed just specifically an end credit to tie everything in. If I never saw the end credit, I wouldn't have cared.
True.
And I felt like the entire movie of the Wolverine was literally just a way to get Hugh Jackman on the screen again because it didn't affect anything that happened through the entire thing. And I mean, if you consider another fact, he loses his claws in the fight.
Yeah.
And then he just has them again.
We had to fill in the blanks of like, did Magneto put those in? Did he give him back his adamantium? Like it was very silly, and then they kind of wrote themselves into a hole there. And then just like, hey, Days of Future Past, everything's fine. Don't makeup behind the curtain.
And that's where where our list is going to vary slightly is once we get to there. But we haven't got there yet, so I'll talk about that then.
Okay, X-Men First Class isn't bad. My friend, I guess I don't know if you call him a friend. I mean, I knew him in high school. Banshee went to high school together.
Okay, nice.
So I guess a very interesting little fact there.
That is. Yeah, I didn't go to high school with any people from the X-Men, so I've got nothing to add you on that one.
I
had a few people that I thought it might have been an X-Men, but turns out they
lunch lady.
Yeah. Well, you always have to watch out for them.
Yeah, I would agree. Hit me. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, X-Men First Class definitely felt like an attempt at a reboot, but they also were like, but we can't forget all the people that make you come and see our movies. So it felt like they struggled. That like the whole goal was to try to start over, but they were afraid that people weren't going to watch it unless somebody showed up, aka Wolverine.
True to say that he's a part of the universe somewhere.
Yeah.
It does set up Days of Future Past, in my opinion, for later.
X-Men's First Class?
Future Past. Yeah, X-Men First Class sets up Days of Future Past. Because, I mean, those are all the same actors, but they kind of bridge it somehow in a really weird way.
Yeah.
Now, the A-tier list. I mean, this one's a little interesting because this was probably one of our first more superhero films that ever came out. Which one came out first, Spider-Man or X-Men?
Spider-Man was owned by Sony, so wasn't this one of the first Marvel comic book movies?
I think so.
It's like the Hulk was like one of the first as well.
Oh, and that one was a little rough, but I heard that rewatching it is actually a little bit better than you anticipate. So would you say which one's better, X-Men or X2 to talk about first?
I feel for me it would be X2. And I think that's just because the exposition setup for like X-Men itself felt a little lengthy.
True, especially if we already knew who they were. I guess it was to get everyone else involved. But yeah, I would say X2 is definitely the better film because everything is already set up and we can get first into the story. But they also really divulge into Wolverine's past in that film, which probably ranking a Wolverine tier list would probably be better to put. I don't know. I guess that. Which one are you saying is better? X2, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how do you feel about X-Men? Because that's our introduction to Hugh Jackman. This was the beginning. This was the start. Just thoughts. I mean, granted, it's the one after, but just want your thoughts.
Right. X-Men, I thought he did a good job, but I still think that maybe in a few different places he was still trying to figure out who he was supposed to be. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing because at that time he still had the amnesia, right?
Yes. He was, I mean, who am I? Where am I?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, at that point, you know, with him playing Lost on a character that he's really new to, I mean, it kind of probably plays into his favor. But at the same time, that if you're again familiar with the comic books, like even when Wolverine's lost, he's still that animal character. Yeah. And so I feel like they might have played it down a bit for the movies.
Yeah, he didn't have that. He was animalistic, but he wasn't quite there yet with the Wolverine.
Yeah.
Now, this one was where the list gets a little tricky. Mm-hmm. Which of these 3 films is the worst when it comes to S tier? Logan, Days of Future Past, or Wolverine and Deadpool? Deadpool and Wolverine, excuse me.
By far, for me, out of those 3, Days of Future Past.
Okay. You know what? I respect it. I respect that. So, but still S tier, but it's the lowest of the S tier.
And so here again, this is where I was talking about. This is where our list would differ.
Yeah.
Days of Future Past. If I'm not just going off Wolverine alone, falls all the way to the tier for me.
Really? Oh man.
Yeah. And I know that a bunch of people are going to complain about that idea, but here's the thing: the entire Days of Future Past negates every of the first X-Men movies.
Ah, that's tough. That's actually tough.
And so because of that,
but it gets rid of Last Stand though. It gets rid of Last Stand.
It gets rid of all of them. All of them, because he goes back to a point prior to all of the other movies and basically alters it. So like it's not just the Last Stand that's been changed. The scene that happens in Apocalypse can't happen because he's not going to end up getting trapped by Stryker. So even though it exists inside of the world that he's in, it doesn't happen, despite the saying. Then they turned around and made it happen in the next movie.
You know what's an interesting thing that happens at the end that nobody talks about? This is like one of those really like big oh my god moments. So he goes back in time, right? Yeah. And then he says, "Oh hi, Charles. I need to catch up on everything. Fill me in a history." What happened to the Logan and Wolverine? And I accidentally hit my mic there. What happened to the Logan and Wolverine that did live? Did he kill that Wolverine and Logan? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, so
two personas can't exist. So the guy who was there, Logan, was like, "Oh, you know, I live my life," and all of a sudden the future version comes in and it's like, "Oh, what's going on? Did he murder that one? Is it like what happened?"
No, their brain merges. So because the other one was sending his brain back in time, and then when it finally gets back to the same point in time, their brain merges into one brain. But the other one picks up where he already knew, and the other one just kind of ceases to exist. So mentally, yeah, it's a mental murder by Wolverine.
Yes, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody talks about that. It was like, "Oh, welcome back." He's like, "What do you remember?" And I was like, "What about the other guy that you spent like 40 years with?"
Yeah.
Like, does that guy not matter? Like, what happened to him? He doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, so Days of Future Past for me, just because it's literally a movie to get rid of every other movie that happened and was kind of like, by the way, guys, don't worry about any of that.
It is a good movie though. It is good, but it does ruin a lot but fixes a lot too.
The movie itself, solo, like locked in, if you don't consider the overarching like butterfly effect of rippling doom that it does through the entire franchise, is good.
Yeah.
But that one little part right there just absolutely derails it for me.
Now, next up in S tier, which one would you say is second place of S tier? Logan? Really? Logan? Okay, yeah. we're gonna have differences here. It's okay. Yeah. So you would say the second place is Logan. Okay, how do you feel? Can I talk about how I feel about Logan?
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay, because you got Days of Future Past, so I got Logan. This would actually be my first, but I know you're saying second. I think that this is one of his most emotional. I know that it deviates a bit from not even a bit, pretty heavy from the comics, but it does technically set up Deadpool and Wolverine. So Logan has to truly exist, and I think that it creates the most emotional side and best performance that I've ever seen from Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine. So hit me with the counter argument of why you feel differently. I mean, still, I'm sure you still think it's a good film, but I want to hear your thoughts.
So Logan exists off the comic book series Old Man Logan.
Yes.
So it's alternate, multiversal, whatever. And so without Logan existing, Deadpool and Wolverine still exists, because the only thing that happens with that Logan is he beats the TVA with him. So my issue with Logan is that the entire thing is specifically to kill off Hugh Jackman. And so it was literally just him trying to get out of the role. And because it's literally like the silver bullet to try to get rid of him, for him to turn around and then go into Deadpool and Wolverine, it makes that entire movie essentially enough meaningless, because he didn't get out of the character. And
but he did that. That is the end of that Wolverine, though.
But that Wolverine hasn't existed on any of the other things, because it's a whole separate storyline. So they literally started and ended a storyline inside one movie, untethered to any other movie in the series. After one of the last things they did was have him go back in time to reset the entire timeline of another series.
But
so
I thought
movies of him in a row is resetting his own timeline.
I thought Days of Future, like Logan, was technically the future of Days of Future Past for them both.
He is, but he also killed the past.
True. So it's two films. I guess. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah, I gotcha. Wow, that's a lot. And then of course, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and so because of that, the Wolverine that we get inside of Deadpool and Wolverine, to me, feels the most comic book. Like he feels like he is the most true to what they attempted to create over a million issues of X-Men. He is Wolverine. Like, that's the first time where I watched him be Wolverine and I wasn't like, that's Hugh Jackman.
You know that, I mean,
like,
to segue
Wolverine.
to Deadpool and Wolverine talking about this, it is the one where he truly wears the correct suit. And you know what, at the very end, it's funny that you do say that, because it does say that I am the Wolverine. It's like he finally embodied the character. Truly. Because, I mean, even though they say that was the worst Wolverine, you know, in that timeline, because he, like, you know, essentially wasn't there for the X-Men when they needed him, because he was off, you know, pouting, essentially, that he is the embodiment of anger in Wolverine, the frustration, I mean, you've said it before, like how Wolverine just has to be just mad and brutal and just pouty, you know?
Yeah, he was pissed the entire movie. And even when he was like doing the right thing, when he reluctantly didn't want to, all the way into like his redeeming arc and the parallels between him and Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, like, even when they finally agree on what their ultimate goal is, he's still pissed. Like, he doesn't like change his character to try to fit to the movie's feeling. Like, you could finally see Hugh Jackman go, okay, this is the character that is just mad at the world. And even though he knows he's trying to save it, like, he kind of doesn't want to, because he hates them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's why, like, these are all S tier. These are all great depictions of Hugh Jackman just truly embodying Wolverine, to the point where I feel like he is that character. And he's been doing it over, you know, they made fun of him in Deadpool Wolverine. You're going to be doing this till you're 90. Yep. Because there is no other Wolverine that I can think of, or anybody. I mean, Henry Cavill actually did pretty good, let's be honest, as the Cavalrine, you know?
Yeah.
That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad,
15
actually.
seconds.
I think I would actually enjoy watching him in that version of whatever that is, you know?
I want to see a movie dedicated to the comic book accurate Wolverine tall guy.
Oh gosh, like
I want him.
the Short
Yeah.
King.
Yeah, Short King. He needs to come out.
I want to see the futuristic Wolverine that they had in there. You know, that was great. Also, when he fought the Hulk, I want to see that too. Oh man, because that's the beginning.
Yeah.
That's the start. They did a lot of like great service to Wolverine. It was almost like a speed run to make sure that we saw everything of Wolverine. I love that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what if we don't ever get it? You know, knock on wood. You know, something ever happens to like the direction of why they do things or don't do things. You know.
Right.
I mean, overall, how do you feel about this list?
I think it's really good. I think it's a good list.
Everyone,
I like that list.
Comment down below how you feel. I mean, we had some differences. I'm sure somebody out there, if somebody out there in the comment section says X-Men Origins or Last Stand is S tier,
We'll fight you
I seek help
right now.
Please, you need to see somebody. We need to talk, and I hope that you're okay. Just checking in on you. But man, I love the fact that we got to talk about this. Let us know if you want to see us talk about more tier lists. We love movies. We enjoy all that stuff here. So if you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe we should rank the Aliens movies next. Have you seen all of them?
I have seen most of them, so I'll have to catch up.
I watched. I finally watched Prometheus and Covenant. They're not as good as I thought they were going to be. But anyways,
Right.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know what we should rank next, and we'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye, everybody.